and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. It's certainly been a very long time, but I'm happy to say, and I'm here to say, that we're back. We're about to restart working on the Fergy. A couple of clips we've just shown you are of us moving the Ferguson back into the workshop, or rather into the workshop, now that the floor's been leveled. On the previous video I talked a little bit about that, so you can go back and have a look at that if you're interested in that. But the floor is now done. We've got it covered as well, with some hard plastic mats, and we brought the Ferguson in and we're ready to get started. In this video, what I'm going to talk about is a bit of a recap video, I guess. We'll talk a little bit about the things that we have done, the progress that we have made over the last 3 years, and then I'll talk a little bit about the jobs that still need to be completed, and therefore what's coming up on the channel in the next number of videos. Come along and see what we get up to. Okay, so if you've been following our channel from the start, you will remember that this tractor came to us pretty much in pieces, well, almost in pieces, but it was a rolling chassis, but most of it had been stripped down and had been sandblasted, and then it's got this red oxide undercoat sprayed on it. But the first thing we noticed was that this axle seal was leaking, and so we needed to start, or we made a start on basically pulling that apart, getting that seal. We didn't replace the seal. What we did is we installed Sure Seals, which is a product that you can basically add to the axle, assuming that your bearing is still okay. You basically just put a new seal in over the old seal, essentially, and that seals it up. Which, whilst we were there, we decided we better get into the diff. So we opened all of that up. We took the trumpet housings off. We cleaned everything. The diff was absolutely fine. There was no issues with it whatsoever. So we basically just cleaned it up and put it back together. We've done a temporary job on the brakes. We put the old brake shoes back just to get the tractor rolling again. But that's so obviously that still needs to be redone. But as many of you have commented already, when we put these brake cross shafts back in, that knuckle over there we did put in upside down. So we will need to turn that around before we finish up. For moving the tractor, we did replace the mud guards, put the seat back on, and we also put the bonnet on, just so it was essentially whole whilst we moved the tractor into storage and then obviously onto the property here. So those need to come back off. Certainly the mud guards, there's a lot of body work needed, rust work that needed. If I come back around here, we can see this one's not too bad. This is whole, so that's all fine. But when we turn around and have a look at this one, we can see, if I zoom in a bit, you can see the rot just starting over there. There's my finger there and there. So we're going to take that off, we're going to clean that up, and probably weld in another new piece in there and sort that out. But yeah, so we then had the top cover off. We took that off. We took the hydraulic pump out. We reserviced, or rather serviced or reconditioned the hydraulic pump. That's all been that's all brand new. Put that back. We had a real hard time getting these lift arms off, but finally we managed to get them off, and we put new bushers in there. So those are all fine now. You can see here we haven't quite finished with the hydraulic control arm. That still needs to go back in. We're going to sort that out still. But from there we basically moved on to the engine, right? So we completely we removed the engine. We completely restored it from top to bottom. Pretty much every part that can be replaced has been replaced. New pistons, new sleeves, new valves, new valve seals. We didn't do the rocker arm. There was one rocker arm pillar that got damaged in the process, and we did replace that with another second-hand one because I couldn't find them new. But other than that, everything else is At the top end is the original. What did we do? We also restored, if I remember correctly, we restored the oil pump as well, put a new rotor and new seal in there. We had, the tractor came with a new water pump, so we haven't done that, but we've basically put that on there. We put new timing chains in, or new timing chain rather. Yeah, so that's and then all new seals, all new gaskets, Welsh plugs, etc. New clutch, everything done on that side, bushes, etc. We then moved on to the front axle. We completely restored that, so we've got a new central pin in there, and there's a whole series on that. We've got new oh god, what are they called? New bushes and bearings in here, new wheel bearings, and then we've also replaced the tie rod ends on the steering arms as well. We then moved on to the steering box itself. We put new seals in, new seals here, sorry, there, and set that all, and put a new gasket on, cleaned it all up. That was terribly it wasn't corrosion, but there was a lot of dirt inside there. I'm not quite sure where that ultimately came from, because the actual box itself seemed fine. That said, you can see there's a lot of pitting on the outside here, and that is all over the tractor. It's as if the tractor has lived on the coast somewhere and has stood outside for most of its life. You can see there's a lot of pitting on all the exposed areas. And there was a fair amount of that inside the steering box as well, and I suspect that that's what was going on. Something had gotten in there, salt water or something, and it had started to corrode the inside of the box. But once I'd cleaned that all out, neutralized it, and started putting it all back together again, it seemed fine. So we shall see. Moving around on this side, in terms of the engine, the bit that we've got left to do, we had some trouble with the distributor. We still haven't worked that out, so that's going to be one of the next jobs that we'll do. But the next thing we started doing is we started working on the dynamo, and we've stripped it, we've reconditioned it, we've rewrapped the coils, and it's now time to put that back together. So that will probably be the next video. After that, I want to get into the starter motor, check that out and get that all serviced up as well, and as I say, sort out the distributor. Once those are done, we are almost ready, I think, then to get ready to start this engine. We have new plugs, new ignition parts, we have new distributor cap, etc. So we're going to obviously do all that, and then fill it with fluids and fire it up. So that moves us really on to what is next, and I think that's those are the main jobs left to do to finish the engine. Obviously we still need to get the pulleys on, the water pump pulleys and all of that, get the alternator back in, not the alternator, sorry, the dynamo, get that all back in, and start finishing off the engine essentially. As you can see, there's still a few little bits missing. We've still got the breather pipe on top that needs to come in. The coil is still comes in, that goes over there, and yeah, there's still we still need to sort out fluids. Let me come back around this side. We've got, so there's your breather pipe, goes in there, and your crankcase. We've got the tap that needs to go in there. That I actually have a replacement tap for that. We've got the carburetor that obviously needs to go on, all the breathers, air filter, etc. And of course then we get to sorting out or setting up the governor, which is another whole task on its own. And that then really moves us into the body work. Now, as I said, the tractor has been sandblasted, it's been red oxide coated, and in theory it's ready. It just needs a good degreasing, and then we could start painting. But one other thing that I have done in the interim is I've basically panel beat this dashboard. You can see that it was in quite bad shape, but I've paneled it, and refilled it, put some filler in, and got it nice and smooth again and nice and straight, so that that will hopefully give us a better finish once that's been painted. That being aluminium, obviously that was reasonably straightforward and easy to do. I'm not much of a panel beater myself, but I was able to do that, and I'm quite pleased with the result. So that just needs finishing off. We've got new rubber to go on there, etc. So look, that's about it. One other job that we need to do is we need to set the now let me get this straight, the toe-in and, well, the toe-in on the front steering. That's not been set yet. We've left the steering knuckles, the adjusters here and here. Where am I? There. We've left those loose-ish because we know that still needs setting. I've just eyeballed them at this point. But yeah, so that's another job, and that will be a video on its own as well. But yeah, look, I think those are the main jobs. There's still a fair bit to do, but we are getting there, and more importantly, we're now ready to start actually cracking on with it and getting the job done. So looking forward to that. I hope that you're looking forward to joining us on the journey, and yeah, coming up very shortly will be the video of us reassembling the dynamo. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, hope you all have a good week, everyone, and see you on the next video. Cheers for now.